Salut!
Hey!
All right.
Welcome back to the Good, the Bad, and the Just Plain Standard podcast, where we provide you with our informed opinions on movies we watched together. We are your hosts,
Adam.
Anouk.
and Yann. Today is all about Danny Boyle's Trainspotting.
Starring.
Ewan McGregor, Ewan Bremner, Johnny Lee Miller, Kelly MacDonald, Kevin McKidd, Robert Carlyle, Peter Mullen, James Cosmo, I'll say that again, James Cosmo, and Eileen Nicholas.
James Cosmo is our feature of the month.
Yeah, he's in everything.
He's
He's got it. Well, linked to Scotland anyway.
And the other case of that is Peter Mullen. Peter Mullen's a very famous Scottish actor as well.
James Cosmo, we haven't singled him out. Who's it?
James Cosmo is Renton's father.
Ah, yes.
Who appears in nearly every film we've done. He was in Braveheart.
Yes.
He was in Highlander.
Yes.
Yep.
He probably was a voice in Brave somewhere. If not, I'd have to look that up.
I think he is in Brave.
Yeah, it would not surprise me if he's a voice in Brave somewhere.
Yeah.
Um,
And so is Kevin McKidd and Kelly MacDonald.
Yeah,
so.
true. That's very true. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would almost be a Trainspotting reunion for two characters that don't get a lot of screen time. But we'll get into that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is the Trainspotting episode. This is the. I'm already going to spoil my rating. This is the masterpiece that is Trainspotting. This is the one film that I know in history that will you can't do a plot summary for because it is a timepiece. It's a look at the lives of heroin addicts in the 90s.
Yeah, it's like an epic without being extremely long, which I think is pretty genius to be able to accomplish. I'm not sure how long it is, but...
So that about 90, I think it's like 93 minutes.
An hour and a half. The second one is 2 hours. An hour and 57 minutes. But the first one is shorter, yeah.
Yeah, it's really short. So that's pretty amazing by Danny Boyle.
This one is not a Christmas family-friendly one
No.
either. So how did you guys get into it?
Well, I've told this story so many times about the DVD of Trainspotting. I don't particularly remember the first time I saw Trainspotting, but like a date or how old I was. But I distinctly remember the film and being blown away by it.
Mm-hmm.
Just utterly changed my world. So that must have been in the 2010s. It must have been. There was no way I was younger than 14 watching this.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely saw this one after I'd seen Alien, which I was about 13, 14 for.
This is one of the first films that me and Adam watched when we first started dating.
Is it really?
Yeah, because you were shocked that I hadn't seen it.
Oh, now I remember.
And obviously it was kind of a joke of like English woman dating a Scottish man, and the first time that I was living in Scotland and I hadn't seen Trainspotting, and that was a complete and utter...
I think I must have quoted something from Trainspotting and you went, I don't get it. I'm like, what? You've not seen Trainspotting? How have you not?
Yeah, exactly. Especially because we met while acting together, so it's kind of one of those films that as an actor and dabbling in writing and directing and all this kind of stuff, it's one of those films that you just have to go and see.
I think the first film we watched together was probably Troll 2.
Yeah, it was something awful like Sharknado, but
that was way into the relationship. I remember Troll 2 showing you that because I can't remember. I honestly don't remember the first film we watched, which is quite sad in a way, seeing how much like films are important in our lives.
Well, it must have been one of the films we had to watch for school.
That's true. Probably. Well, we watched films together, but we weren't together at that point. Like in class, we'd watch stuff together, but obviously we weren't.
Okay, would you just give me 1 second? I'll move my camera because it's weird to have it on the back. So I'll just...
Yeah. Do 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 do.
Does it make sense like this?
Difficulties.
Yeah,
it's fine.
That's much better actually.
Awesome.
Cool.
We're gonna compose. I'm gonna compose a song for technical difficulties on the podcast.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, we have there is a family story with this one again.
Okay.
It's not Darth Vader this time. It's well, especially my mother, because she's with dogs. It doesn't work. So I lost them with a baby every time. So it's just they knew it was not for them. They managed to get to the baby part, and once they reached that part, it was just like, what? No.
Yeah,
Too much.
it's a grim scene that.
I feel like screaming is just really hard to listen to as well. Like someone screaming in kind of desperation is just always really hard to kind of listen to.
Yeah, it's an excellently well acted moment by the actress that plays Alison.
Yes, I will give her a shout out.
Anouk looks. If you haven't seen Trainspotting, I would say watch Trainspotting first before listening to this episode, because we're just going to talk about scenes and. Yann's just all right. Yann having a moment of not knowing if the camera started.
No, I need to start so many cameras, dude. So no, it's fine. It's fine.
I'll go back to that. I'll go back. If you haven't seen Trainspotting, I would highly recommend you watch this. Watch Trainspotting before watching this episode or listening to this episode, because, like I said in the beginning, there isn't a through line plot. It is a series of events that happen in these people's lives, and we will just talk about sections. And if we have any similar experiences and all this sort of stuff. So this is very much an emphasis of what a discussion podcast will be for film. Having said that, if you have seen Trainspotting, enjoy.
Well, I realized just watching it yesterday, actually, because I've also seen it live in a Traverse Theatre at the Fringe last year. It's actually in your face theatre, and if you don't get the concept, obviously you're not going to like it. Like when I first read Sarah Kane, last year, 2 years ago, they said how the one of her monologues was the most overdone one for females, right? So I went and read Blasted, and was like, what? What? That's even sickier than Blackbird, or it's just like. And this is the kind of stuff. It's not family friendly.
No. Yeah, you I mean, it's one of those like raw British movies that it kind of goes into a world where no one really wants to know or talk about, which is probably why it's so important to talk about.
Which is funny, because the book and the film come about with Britpop, of the 90s, which is like, Spice Girls and, all this big movement of the 90s of music.
Women.
Where am I going with this? Like, we'll get into the context, the soundtrack later on, because I have a lot of stuff to talk about with the soundtrack. But yeah, the music and just this whole scene of the 90s.
Yeah, drugs.
This captures a whole different side of portraying a country I've ever seen in my life.
Dance music.
It's like it doesn't stop itself saying what it thinks. Is what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, it's very happy to go, this is what I think, and like just show it. That being in a very, very stylistic way.
Yeah, and stylistic way, but also it reminded me of when I realized it was in your face. Actually, it reminded me of hyperrealism also, because we're clearly not into realism. Because the worst bug in Scotland, that's kind of we're getting in non-realism territory there. But yeah, it's something. It's a piece of something that there probably was a before and there was an after, I guess.
Yeah, I've never seen a film like this before. I mean, you've got Filth, which we did before.
Well, obviously that came later.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I just mean that, like, it's got realism, and then suddenly it switches into hyperrealism, but also lighting and weirdly painted walls and fake like hallucinations. Basically, it plays on that, and then you kind of go into the world of how someone who's trying to wean themselves off drugs or being on drugs feels like, which is actually quite interesting because and I mean, I know that Danny Boyle even said that he tried really hard to not make it a documentary about people on drugs because he didn't want that. He wanted to actually deal with how they felt and what they were going through.
Well, it's very much a film that is a very realistic portrayal of what drug taking is like, because you see both negative and positive. You see them having a great time and you see them having the worst times ever.
Oh, poor Tommy.
Yeah.
It's like the worst fucking story ever.
Yeah, the whole through line of Tommy is I think such a portrayal of what so many people are scared of drugs for. Like you just start taking it once, like you've never been into it before, you start taking it and then it all goes pear-shaped for you. Yeah. Like I think that's a perfect example, and that's down to Irvine Welsh.
You probably
for sure. That's down to Irvine Welsh.
Who was actually in the movie?
Who's in the movie as well? Yeah.
He has the exact same face as Kevin Spacey in The Usual Suspects.
Yes, he does.
So weird.
So he's the mastermind behind these stories. Well, obviously, they're actually a lot more graphic and horrible to read. Like I haven't read it fully as Adam has, but some of we're listening to the audiobook right now, and some of the scenes are just disgusting.
Well, Irvine Welsh grew up in this world. Like he had his mates that were massively into it, and you can see that because he holds no punches in his portrayal of what drugs are like and what the world is like.
Yeah,
and I think he was on them as well at some point. Like at some point,
probably.
Like Renton is close to what Irvine Welsh's life was like. Like being in it and then leaving it.
I think he did struggle with it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's true. Because if it's not true, it does a very good job of like imagining that. But if it is true, like you can see that in the writing and therefore in the screen adaptation by John Hodge.
Like how unfair it is. Like how Renton and the other boys are doing this for I don't know how long, years, and then suddenly Tommy takes it and he becomes immediately completely fucked up.
It's because Tommy has nothing else in his life at that point.
His
girlfriend leaves him for the stolen sex tape and all other reasons,
which is Renton's fault.
There's a chapter in the book. I can talk about the book as well because I've read it a couple of times, and me and Anouk are currently listening to the audiobook, as she just said. There's a great chapter in where Tommy, you know the scene in the famous subtitle scene, which for anyone outside of the UK, you've only seen this version of the film where it's Spud which is Ewan Bremner's character, and Tommy chatting about in the club to each other, and the subtitles come up at the bottom. So that you know what they're saying, which is fair enough because it's a very loud nightclub. But I remember the first time I saw this film, it didn't have the subtitles, and I was okay. But that's because I'm Scottish, and I come from Fife, which is very close to Edinburgh, so I get the dialogue. Obviously, not some words like in Fife we don't use the word gadge to refer to as a person. Like that the wee gadge, that would be that wee person. I'm not familiar like phrases like that, so they're a bit alien.
We have a French word, gadjo, which is for a guy, kind of. It's one of the vernacular. I don't remember from where, but yeah, kind of
so in the book, it's the same conversation. Like Lizzie's annoyed because he's got tickets for Iggy Pop, but it's at the concert. So there's a whole section with him at the Barrowlands seeing Iggy Pop, and it's like really good. It's one of the sections of the book that people wish was in the film, just because there's a scene with interaction between Tommy and Iggy Pop in the book, which is quite funny.
Great.
Which is why Iggy Pop features a lot in the film, because you can tell that Irvine Welsh likes Iggy Pop.
Yeah, and also Iggy Pop is like the guy that you think about when you think about like dance music, drugs, 90s, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, it makes a lot of sense, and his music fits so beautifully in the film.
Yeah.
What are the acting moments that really stood out? Well, I really liked the how the relief of a good shite, and the
Yeah.
you can see bliss on Renton's face.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor in this role is it's one of Ewan McGregor's best performances.
It's
It is
very
one
good.
of the best.
It's very good. I've always really enjoyed, this is going to make me sound so pretentious, but I've always enjoyed looking at the other actors' faces, like when they're not the main actor in the scene, like if they're not talking. So when that famous scene when Begbie throws the glass over his face, if you watch Johnny Lee Miller's face, it's just so well acted because he doesn't break character ever. And that's always a really good sign of a good actor. When you watch them when they're not really on screen, you realize that it was just so nice because he was like, he somehow got them the great balance of being really interested in what Begbie is saying, but also kind of looking like, oh, shut the fuck up. Like, we've heard all of this before.
Yeah.
And that's just such a genius thing to be able to master.
I think my favourite acting moment in the film is Spud's interview. I think Spud's interview is fantastic. I also remember in the book that it's more about Renton. But they both have an interview, and there's deleted scenes in this film where you see Renton's interview, but the book mainly focuses on Renton's go at it. But Spuds is so... Ewan Bremner himself is like a fantastic actor, because obviously Ewan Bremner played Renton in the stage play before the film was getting made back then. But they knew Danny Boyle, director, wanted Ewan McGregor because of Shallow Grave and Sunshine. So they knew they wanted him as Renton, but Ewan Bremner got cast as Spud.
His physicality is really good. You can definitely see him more as a theatre actor because he can... the character's in his body as well as...
And I must say, I understood approximately like 80%. So that's for some reason I managed to understand him because I was like more super focused listening to him than Begbie. For some reason, he has not the standard Scottish. I don't know what's that dialect he's using, but it's where is that Scottish from?
It would be Edinburgh. That would be the Edinburgh dialect.
Begbie.
Yeah.
It's got it. Yeah, it probably has a vernacular actual name, but I don't know it. But yeah, they. I'm going to do a surprise for you guys actually. If we hold on, so the camera, you'll see.
Let's have the surprise. Okay, I'll just say in the meantime that my dad had a rifle just like they used to shoot the dog's butt.
Oh, nice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he
That's
used
a beautiful gun.
he used that on cows a while back, but yeah.
That's a lovely rifle.
It's like what lead pellets? How do you call those? Yeah. Cool.
Secret. I'm finding the section in the book where just Begbie speaks, right? And I'm gonna have Yann try and read that.
God.
Right, here we go. Yann, I want you to read. It's only a couple of sentences. I want you to read.
I don't remember. Okay.
From there, basically that section there from how.
I don't remember at all. Well, how's the fucking rent boy? He asked loudly. Appropriateness. Well, that's him speaking the whole way, even the sentence and everything, right?
No, it's just it'll be if it's got little dashes, it means somebody else is now talking. But if so, from how's the rent boy to where the next dash is will be Begbie speaking.
How's the fucking rent boy? He laughs loudly. Appropriateness have never been the strong point. All right, doll. He says Thais.
There we go.
Wow.
That was actually pretty good.
That
I
was
did not
amazing.
expect Yann to get that as good as you got it. That's very good, Yann. Bye monetization. I'll read it. I'll read it in proper English to translate.
Okay.
How is the fucking rent boy? He rasps loudly. Appropriateness has never been the cunt's strong point. All right, girl, he says to Hayes. In Scottish, that's how's the fucking rent boy? He rasps loudly. Appropriateness has never been the cunt's strong point. All right, doll, he says to Hayes. So there's a little section of the book from...
Wait, give it to me because we don't see the Toblerones. Anyway.
Oh, can't be hiding the Toblerones.
By the way, Toblerones, I just discovered yesterday an artist. She's... I don't remember her actual name, but she goes by Floor Plan Croissant. Floor Plan Croissant, I guess. And she does... she does research and when possible works with the set designers and artists on movies to actually draw and paint houses in movies.
Oh.
So I've seen the Mother house, and she has a Patreon. I went there to help a bit, and yeah, it's quite nice. And yeah, Toblerone, because she does prints, obviously, and she sends prints out in Toblerone shaped rolls.
I got a Toblerone shaped roll for the poster that's behind me over there from Anouk. When it arrived at Christmas, like, you got me a massive Toblerone, babe.
No.
So that's Floor Plan Croissant. That's the F Plan Croissant.
I would love
on
to
Instagram.
see the flat from Trainspotting. You know, the Mother Superior flat as a floor plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on her Patreon and social media, I haven't even investigated that much yet, but she says she's done 400 of those houses.
I had a look at her the Instagram before we came on, and I did graph com at school. I love stuff like that. I love art that's it's so focused on its own aspect. Like with we had Charles on with the hyperrealism. That stuff's amazing because it's so detailed, and he focuses purely on the hyperrealism aspect. And then with the floor plans, it's distinctly a floor plan. Like you could imagine this as an actual drawing for a house, which is amazing. I love art like that. Essentially I love people that specifically do something, and they do that very well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like their whole life is like just that, and it's a great accomplishment.
What do you think about the VHS Tommy plus Lizzie Volume 1? Do you think there was a Volume 2 or?
I don't think Volume 2 would ever get made after he loses Volume 1.
No, I think Lizzie left him.
Yeah.
I mean, right. So I think me and Anouk have had a conversation about this before. This isn't going the way you think it's going. Okay.
About doing a sex tape?
No.
No.
No. Like you have discussed like when people's relationships are like kind of ending, or if they're drying up that way, like they try and add some spice into the relationship, and usually that's in the form of like sexual ways.
Mm-hmm.
So I reckon that this is a like try and revive the flame between the two of them sort of idea.
Do you think it was just an excuse then for her to be like, oh, you lost the videotape, which means we have to end it?
Not even that. I think that she says in the... Sorry, I completely cut you off there.
I was finished.
Were you?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. I didn't want to do that. So
Okay.
if you want to finish that point, you were saying that you think that's the reason she left him. Use that as an excuse.
Yeah. Or at least it was like the straw that broke the camel's back type thing.
Well, yeah, how would you feel if it was me and you?
I'd be really worried, but I don't think I'd dump you.
Well, I mean, that's the whole plot of
I'd probably laugh, to be fair.
No, but there is another aspect. They filmed themselves knowingly, but you have some other, I don't remember where it was, when they film their conquests unknowingly, and then
Oh dear.
it's one of, isn't it, in the movie we talked about recently? Wasn't it in Filth?
No, he lies about how big his penis is, and so in a way
There's
we were
this-
talking about how that's a grey area as well, because it's not. It was consensual, but it was consensual with her thinking something else that wasn't true. So that's like a.
I think the fact that she says, "I want to watch us screwing. I want to watch us fuck while we're screwing." It's a play. You can tell by the way the footage is that it's like mutual, because like
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and also she. I don't think that it was like something to spice up their. I think it was just something that they did.
yeah, maybe.
It didn't seem like forced or like it was just one of those things that some people just do. They just film themselves having sex, and it was just something that they did.
Okay, I don't know. I now that I think about it, I'm like, do you really think it was a thing that to spice up their life? I mean, a wee bit, but I reckon that was filmed like a couple of months or like before they're in a bad state that they are. We see them in the film. Like, it's not recent, I don't think. But I agree. I don't think there's a volume 2.
I'm trying to locate the film. A Saw episode, maybe? No, it wasn't there. I've seen something recently when there's a. Well, I don't remember. Anyway,
They pretend. In T2 they do that, but that's like used as blackmail. There's a prostitute,
yes,
and
yes. No, I was. Yeah. Indeed, I was thinking about another one, but they do. Yes. Shirley Anderson doesn't have her annoying voice in this.
No, and she doesn't look like Shirley Henderson yet.
no,
I for years I never knew she was in it.
she's obviously typecast now, and that's why she keeps on like bringing it back, because it's like something that she can do, which is like extra, which is obviously very good for actors.
Yeah, there's also a moment I liked. The very first time Renton and Diane had a moment, like he was all confident and everything, and she just called her out on his bullshit, and and they still like it was.
He's like,
it was
"What?"
great.
I think because she's a female version of what Renton wants to be or thinks he is.
Yeah,
That's
cool,
why he finds her
confident,
attractive.
cool, confident, gorgeous, kind of, and also like a loner, but cool and like confident in the fact that she's alone,
Yeah.
which makes her kind of like sexy.
I mean, it's just pure stylistic greatness of the whole fact that with the football tape and the sex going on at the same time. And the fact that Renton does reference the goal that is scored on the video footage is just great. It's just, so, it's like minor details like that are like, some filmmakers wouldn't even bother, like, and it's there. And especially with Atomic going on in the background, you know, by Blondie. It's just like, it's like greatness.
That's clearly style, because we love the use of creative use of mirrors, and I have a picture on the iPad if you want to show our lovely watching audience of the when Renton puts his passport in the locker, which is quite nice. It must be.
It doesn't matter. We'll just take it out. Just lovely clickety click click clicks. I did mute the sound on this, but it's like comes on sometimes.
No, I did, because I wanted to have you listen to the guest intro thingy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's why.
What camera should I show it to?
Doesn't matter.
Those, yeah.
I'll take it up. There's for the iPod and there's for the.
Cool. Yeah. Let's just check if the focus is still.
Probably won't. Yeah, it won't, because I manually focused it.
No, I mean on mine.
All right. And there's it there for the for that one.
The iPhone doing great.
For the audio listeners, it's the scene where Renton looks at his passport in the locker.
Yeah.
And it's multiple. It's like a mirror effect.
And also, well, there's something something we don't have that much in France. The table, the kind of a living room of Diane's parents is exactly set like here. We don't have that kind of setting in France with a octagon kind of weird shaped.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it must be typical to Victorian kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, because you have those. If you look on very typical Scottish street, you have the flats outside. They have that shape. It's like kind of.
Yep.
Our old flat had that, yeah.
It's like the top of an octagon. I think that's what you were trying to. Yeah.
I think in San Francisco they have that a lot also.
Like this, or a Toblerone setting even, like that. If you look at our Toblerones, they're sort of like diagonal.
Yes, exactly.
Like this,
All
here.
3 of them. Yeah.
For audio listeners, it's like Anouk said, the top of an octagon or a hexagon. A hexagon would work.
Hexagon, sorry.
It's the first 6-sided shape.
Yeah.
And also, right after that, the breakfast with Spud. And I do not take desserts that much when I eat, but I do love the British breakfast. That's just
The English fry up. Yeah.
Yes.
Fry up. Really good. I mean, even the Scottish version as well, with the black pudding and bit of haggis. White pudding as well.
It's instead of getting your link sausage, you get a square sausage.
Square sausage.
A lawn sausage for the posher people of the Scottish kingdom.
Well, you know, there's this thing that is quite funny.
It's not a square sausage; it's a lawn sausage. All right, keep your ear on.
What's quite funny about pudding, right? It's black pudding is like a sausage. Actually.
Yeah.
Well, what we call pudding, talking about you guys when we're in France, is what you call Jello. You know, that's wobbly green,
Like
jelly.
jelly.
Jelly. Yeah.
Jello is American.
Yeah, that's right.
Jelly is from here, but also American jelly is jam.
Yep.
So that's really confusing.
And then to bring it all home, it's like a gelatin sort of thing that's the base of a blancmange.
Blancmange.
Blancmange is back.
The blancmange is back. Yeah.
The
I'm gonna like make sure that Yann has a blancmange at some point. It probably is blancmange. It's like how Americans pronounce bologna instead of bologna. Because
it's from Bologna.
It's from because the sausage is named from because it's massively made and it originates from Bologna
in Italy.
But Americans call it bologna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bologna.
Bologna
sandwich.
But then again, every country in the world has different names for stuff. I mean, Anouk doesn't like the fact that I call fizzy juice.
Yeah, so basically Coke is fizzy juice, whereas
soda.
Okay, but soda's American.
Yeah, I'm just meaning another.
So, the juice in England, is like fruit juice.
Oh, okay.
So when you have like
Cordial?
fizzy drink, no, like apple juice, orange
squeezed?
juice, pomegranate, yeah, like
Concentrate.
or not.
It
can be freshly squeezed juice. And then like Sprite and Coke is fizzy drink to me. I wouldn't call it fizzy juice, and that annoys me. Scottish people.
Well, some Scottish people used to call it ginger because you would get a bottle of ginger.
Which is Iron Brew.
Which used to be like Iron Brew sort of thing, but it just meant any drink. So if it came in a glass bottle, that was a bottle of ginger.
Okay.
What did you think about if you don't see me again, I'll tell the police?
Oh yeah, manipulative little bitch. It's very cheeky.
Okay, so when Renton finds out that Kelly MacDonald's character of Diane is actually like 14, he's like, oh shit, like
because he's supposed to be 25.
He's in his mid-20s for sure, like 23, 25. Yeah, that's Actually, to be fair, it's like the same thing. It's just a female Renton. It's great, like, because you could see him doing the same sort of move if it was the other way around, you know.
Yeah, but basically that's statutory rape, and that's prison time.
Stop the ball, stop the ball, stop the ball.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, it was that's a phrase for like, you know, like child stuff. Like it's like. They sing. It's what Bruce sings to the guy in the flat in Filth when he like finds out that the girl's like
Younger.
underage. He's like, "Stoke the boss, stoke the boss, stoke the boss." So it's like a Scottish sort of chant for like a kiddie fiddler sort of situation.
So she basically manipulates him and says, "You need to see me again, otherwise I'll tell the police." Which I really think a lot of girls would do. Like, I think it's probably a lot more common than we think. And I don't think it comes from a bad place because these kids are young. So, you know, if you're 14, 15 and the guy's like, oh God, like...
It might also be an empty
like a desperation thing.
As well.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Like, the guy will do it because he's like, I don't want you to do it, but then it might be an empty threat. It's like, it's a very real thing, which is what this film does so well. You know, like, this happens.
Yeah, of course. And also, if you look back in hindsight, the girl might be like, oh God, I shouldn't have done that. Like, I really regret it. And that's why it's rape, because obviously the law sees you being too young to be consensual, but it was consensual. So it's another, not grey area, but it's like...
Yeah, but the definition of consent has been shifting for many years now. Now consent has to be constant throughout the whole thing.
Oh.
Yeah, well, that's what people try to make us believe.
Yes, but that's so true. I totally agree with that. Because if, for example, I say, excuse me, get off me, you get off me. You can't carry on because like 5 minutes before I was into it.
Yeah.
I don't see that as a problem.
I mean, it's like if somebody... I use the video, which is have a cup of tea, which we will share a link to. It's like it basically the whole idea of rape explained, but except you change this is rape to a cup of tea. So if somebody says I would like a cup of tea, that's them saying yes. However, that's the case. If somebody you give them the cup of tea because they said they wanted a cup of tea, but they stop halfway through because they've had enough tea.
Don't force it down their throat.
Don't force them to drink the tea.
Yeah, but the whole the whole constant thing is about everything went fine. And everyone is getting back to their houses, and there is some regret in the morning, and then it becomes rape.
Yeah, I think that's not fair. I think that you can't go back on, like, if it was consensual, it was consensual. If you regret it, that can't be rape because he didn't force it on you. I haven't heard of any. Well, I have, but nothing like that wouldn't go in court. Like that's just you regretting sex, and we've all done that. We've all had sex with someone and been like, oh God, I shouldn't have done that. But then you can't go to that person and say you raped me because you consented the whole way through the sexual thing. If you were drunk and then you regret it, I understand that. That's completely rape because
that's taking advantage of somebody that's in a state that can't that doesn't know what they're doing.
Especially if you weren't as drunk as they were.
That's it's predatory. That's complete predatory.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, I mean, we're going into some really
last
dark...
3 episodes. We've had some really bloody risque topics. You know?
Yeah, well, let's talk about nice ways to hide your skag in your shoe.
Yeah, and also up your ass. That's a great way of doing it.
In your shoe, it's funny because we have a movie in France called Les Soudoués, which is, I don't think it's been translated, but basically it's, the exam you have at the end of high school? Yeah. A degree kind of stuff. And they, a magician friend was the consultant for all the cheating things.
Oh, wow.
And there is one history, geography test, and there is a guy who has the book, the whole book for the year, like shaped like the how do you call that part of the shoe, like the same where he had these heroin sick boy.
the heel.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the heel. So he had heels with geography and history.
Oh wow!
And there was this whole thing because
Wow.
the curriculum for geography was a bit smaller, so it was a bit taller on one side. And you had like answers under the watch and loads of funny stuff.
I mean, everyone cheats in exams.
Well, at some point, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a point where you should probably learn not to, but yeah,
Yeah,
everyone has done it. Probably
everyone
once in their
cheats
life.
in a test. Essentially, that's what I mean.
Yeah, once in their life, someone's done that.
I remember cheating on a small test in like a classroom. It was just after I got my glasses, because for most of my high school years, I didn't wear glasses. It was in the final 2 years of school I got my glasses, and it was like a maths exam. Well, not an exam, a test, like a class test. In America, you have like these pop quizzes sort of things, and I was like, because I had my glasses, I could see the person's like to the side of me, multiple choice. I was like, oh, this is great. Because I couldn't see before. I was like, excellent.
Nice.
Well, technically, with the Navy, I had to learn Morse code. So it was a bit late in my life, so I could have used this knowledge for evil purposes.
Oh, right. Yeah, like tap on the desk and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it was more visual, between ships. But yeah, it's the same alphabet anyway.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. I'd love to learn Morse code.
Morse code.
It'd be so good. It's like you're talking to someone and just like Morse coding your mate. Like, this girl is pissing me off. Help me.
Quick erratum. I said in the Highlander episode that Russell Mulcahy directed also Shakespeare in Love. Not at all. It was John Madden for some reason. And so Russell Mulcahy didn't do that. He did loads of music videos. Yeah.
So did Danny Boyle. Danny Boyle did the music video for Lust for Life.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Which I think is very appropriate. It probably was a lot of Trainspotting stuff, I'd imagine. It would mostly be like Renton running down the... I should know that. Princess Street. That's it.
Yeah.
Running down Princess Street. I was like, is it Princess Street? It's like, yes, it's Princess Street.
Yeah,
I mean, it was both in Glasgow and Edinburgh that it was shot quite a lot of the time.
It is quite amusing because if you know the layout of Edinburgh, right, you know that the cuts don't work. Because like, you see them running down Princess Street, then it cuts them running up a slight hill away from the Scottish Art Museum. Then it cuts to Renton jumping down some stairs. Those stairs are about 4 blocks away.
Yeah.
Because I used to work at the theatre, which is just along from where those stairs are, and you can see the exit to the train station that Spud runs towards as well. So
it's a very famous part of Edinburgh as well.
I noticed that in Con Men because it was entirely shot in Glasgow, and there are some shots that just the movie was great, and I finally saw it on the big screen. But there are some shots you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, if you know Glasgow well, it's quite funny.
It's the beauty of filmmaking because the people that know the streets like, oh yeah, that's there and there, but it doesn't ruin any illusion at all.
No,
Somehow it doesn't.
If it's done properly, and it usually is done properly. Yeah. I love how Sick Boy always talked about movie characters for some reason. I don't remember if it's in the second one, but I didn't hear it here or in the book. Isn't there supposed to be a Van Damme bit?
At the very beginning of the book is
okay.
At the very beginning of the book, Sick Boy and Renton are watching a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, and they rent it from the video store. And the Sick Boy's like, I need to go and get another hit. That's where the Jean-Claude Van Damme section is in the book.
Well, one of the main reasons apparently that Sick Boy got the part is that he could do a really good Sean Connery impersonation. So he obviously has like a massive obsession with James Bond because he talks about the Bond girls.
Yeah,
it's heavily present in the book about that as well. Simon sections do have a lot of it. It was like, I'm talking like Sean.
Yeah,
I'm from Egypt, aren't I?
Apparently.
I wear peacocks as my Spartan tartan.
This is only one film that Sean Connery has been in.
I know, yeah.
And it's also a moment I loved because we've been there for the whole month performing. At one point there's kind of a lingo. There is a super coming on the screen. That's a superimposed bit of text, right? And says the first day of the Edinburgh Festival. That's-
And an American.
I've been
comes-
there. Yeah, I've been there at that time. I've been there at that time.
Oh yeah, and an American comes in, and it's probably like all the Edinburghians are like, oh, for God's sake, just got all these stupid people just coming in. Like, pardon me, can I use your bathroom?
Do you know that guy appears later on in the film as a Scotsman?
Oh really?
That guy is the same guy that talks to Renton at the funeral.
Ah, that's hilarious.
Okay.
I think it's that guy. He's definitely credited as US tourist. I'm like, well, there isn't really any US tourists. Oh, Jesus, that was a close one.
But I mean, like, Britain's full of these pubs that just, if you're not from if you're not from that place or you don't know people there, just don't go in them. There's just, that you don't know what will happen. Especially with my accent, like, there's no way. You've got to be careful.
Oh, it's like having license plates, Parisian license plates in Provence. In Marseille,
Really?
wow. Yeah,
Really?
It's just you'll get honked, like horned.
Boo.
Oh
That's-
dear.
Yeah.
Do people really hate Parisians that much?
Even in well, especially in Marseille, because there is kind of a big rivalry. What can you identify your favorite? That's difficult always, but quote in the movie.
That's
So
a good
many.
one.
There's-
I
I
need
mean-
to start writing these things down. Like, it's tough because when you watch it, you're just so like enveloped in the film that you don't think about these things like objectively.
I mean, anything Begbie says is great.
This lass has just been glassed and.
And nae cunt leaves till we find the cunt that done it. There's a great one that they even say, like, nobody could put into words about the situation. Well, except Begbie, he had one, and it's about when Spud gets sent to prison, and I can't remember it right now.
Okay.
But it's like
I do.
Well,
I know the bit, but I can't remember the
to
quote.
the mother or no before?
The before.
Okay.
Why don't you? I think Yann's got a wee list there of quotes. So
No,
why
I
don't
just have one.
All right, go on then.
It's about Renton's gender identity theory.
Oh, it's so sorry. I'm excited. That's so good.
1,000 years from now, there will be no guys and no girls, just wankers. Sounds great to me.
Yes, I love that. I know me and Adam like at the same time go, it's already
We're
happening.
getting, we're like to that point that it's like, why don't we just all classify ourselves as wankers? Because it would just be a hell of a lot easier.
a lot easier. Just, yeah.
I mean, the whole bit about it's shite being Scottish is a great quote. It's shite being Scottish.
We were colonized by wankers.
I don't hate the English. I feel sorry for, they're just wankers. We, however, were colonised by wanker. We're not wankers. We're not even good enough to be colonised by a decent culture.
Mm-hmm. God,
that's a great. There's loads. I mean, probably my favourite is the when he finishes with Diane. He's like, God, I haven't felt that alive since watching
goal.
That goal. Yeah, scored against such and such. Yeah, that's a great quote.
In terms of moving the camera, there's something that you don't see a lot, and I'm not sure what it does, but it does it well. The camera on the floor, quite a lot in this one.
I've just remembered a quote that's very actually true for a lot of Scottish people, which is when they talk about when Tommy talks about Begbie. He's like, he's a psycho, but he's a mate.
Oh no, I mean, I think every single person in every culture has a friend like that. They're like, I have no idea why I'm friends with you because every single time I see you, you make my life a living hell, but we're still mates. No idea why, but fuck it. Everyone's got a friend like that.
Against all odds.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to cut those people out of my life, but it is quite difficult.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah, they're there at every party, and that's probably why you can't cut them out of their life. Every time you go out, you're like,
oh God, it's you.
Hey.
So the camera on the floor, does that inspire you anything?
Does it make me? How do you mean inspired? Just like, how does it make me feel?
No, yeah.
I mean, there's moments that I love. I mean, the very end when he's like, it's on the street and stuff is very like nice, but it just adds. Do you know what? It's like one of these things when you make films. It's just nice to have something a bit different. Like listeners will know from this we're shooting this test way. Might be a bit boring because it's the same shot the whole way through, and we're like moving because we do know how to be on screen. or we're learning slowly to better our acting career as well. So we know how it's like you've got to keep moving and stuff. But like I remember shooting stuff. There's a scene in Anouk's showreel that we need to redo where it's very static and it's very boring because there's not a lot going on. Which is a shame because the acting is superb. It's some of the best acting you've ever done.
Thank you.
And it's just like needs a bit more. So like just the fact that they're able to put different shots in livens the picture and it makes it more memorable. I think.
Collaborative experience. It's not. I mean, I know that actors get so much more hype because they become celebrities and all this stuff, but like a film is like so much more. Because there's so much stuff that goes into these things. And these people usually don't get like makeup, hair, costume is usually like color coordinated for each shot. I mean, that's tough work, man.
Yeah. I follow a Twitter account which puts scenes from movies it's about coloring. It's about the art of coloring in cinema. So it like has all the colors that appear in that scene. And one of the most interesting shots in the film, right, is one of them could have been the most boring shot of the film. And it's when Renton becomes unconstipated and he's just walking across these front of flats in a really like rundown area, but each flat has a different coloured curtain and it works. It looks interesting.
Right.
And obviously, like in the nightclub, like the colours in there are amazing, like the whole layout and stuff like that.
A bit of acting nugget for the world. There's something I only learned with Patrick because I never realized or noticed or cared before, actually. At one point, Renton is looking at his mirror, which is just a bit bigger than his own face. And he's supposed to be looking at himself, like you do in the mirror. But you can see his eyes, so he's looking at the camera.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do to look like that's the appearance of reality.
Yeah, the things we do to make look real. Well, for example, I mean, I'm sitting with my chair slightly angled, and basically, if I sit straight, I'm looking over there, right? Which, if I was at a table with you guys normally, you wouldn't. You'd be sitting like that. But for screen purposes, it looks better for us to do this and like be able to be seen by the camera than to just like see the side of our heads, which you'll see in the Filth episode and the Highlander episode because we hadn't figured that out yet.
Yeah, and also like looking at the people next to you, like it's probably best if the camera is right in front of you, not to actually look at them. And it's incredible how the camera makes it look like you're actually looking them straight in the eye, but actually you're not. You're looking like in space because if you look at them, they'll just lose all your face. And that's the most important thing. Like if you watch some of the greats, whatever you want to call them, actors, you'll see that they follow the camera. Like that's how they do, especially in TV. You can now that you know this trick, just watch it. Just watch like EastEnders, yeah. And you'll see that some of the really good actors will like follow where the camera goes with their full body. It's a good trick.
Trainspotting live.
You know.
Did you ever see it live?
I haven't seen it live yet. I applied for a role.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't hear anything back, but it was on Spotlight the end of last year. I applied for the role of Mother Superior.
I think you'd be a good Mother Superior.
I still think that because of my shape, because I'm quite more wider, that playing somebody that's on heroin is not going to happen for me because
no, because drug addicts don't eat.
Yeah, I'm not skinny enough and I don't have that frame. But I do hold hope that maybe one day like I could play Begbie because
that's true. People forget that Begbie doesn't take drugs, does he?
No, and the thing is as well,
people.
That's one of the things I wanted to talk about. The Robert Carlyle. Robert Carlyle isn't what you think Begbie would be, especially if you've seen Robert Carlyle in interviews or if you've seen him in a film that we will cover someday called what is it called again? Full Monty.
Oh, so good.
Which is the film he did like after this, which is quite interesting. But he's like, he just personifies what Begbie is as opposed to physically needing to look like it. And that's one of the things that is very true in Scotland. Like, you will see people on the street that don't look intimidating, but rail on the wrong way, and it's like, oh Christ, you're in for a shock. And I think that's true anywhere, really, but I think especially in Scotland it comes like, and Robert Carlyle portrays that whole crazy wee fellow very well.
I went to see last year's, I've checked earlier, the name of the production company is In Your Face Theatre. And they have a great cast, and it's a traverse, so it's kind of a corridor type of thing.
Oh yeah.
Tough.
And you've got either an audience at the both ends of the corridor, the safe zones, or on the actual sides of the corridor. And that's where you have the Spud and his shite on your face and stuff. It's like beautiful. You're in the middle of the action.
Wow. I need to keep my eyes out for that, because I'm going to say that again because that didn't make any sense. I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for that because I really want to see it. I've heard just amazing things about it.
Sometimes it makes an appearance at the Fringe.
Yeah.
Anyone has anything to add?
Soundtrack.
Yeah, of course.
I mean,
yeah.
Best soundtrack ever.
Oh my God, it's just so good. I'll read you the soundtrack just for reference.
Read some of the artists as well, because that's important.
Yeah, so we have Lost for Life, Iggy Pop. We have Atomic by Blondie. Temptation, New Order. We have again Nightclubbing by Iggy Pop. Sing by Blur. Perfect Day, Lou Reed. And then the other big one is Born Slippy, Underworld. Those songs in themselves, right? No matter where you hear them, you just go Trainspotting.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I know somebody, and Anouk knows somebody very personal, that can't listen to the Lou Reed Perfect Day because of the scenes.
Oh yeah.
Because Perfect, it's ironically, not ironically, it's the perfect juxtaposition. Perfect Day, the song about this wonderful day for when Renton is dying of overdose, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like perfect.
It's tough, really tough.
No matter where you are in the world. I haven't seen Trainspotting that much that I would locate the scenes, but clearly I would know that's from Trainspotting.
Yeah.
I
mean, even if I remember sitting in a restaurant with Anouk in London, right? And they're having obviously had Spotify on. I'm like, they've got the Trainspotting soundtrack on. Because I knew the order of the soundtrack. I'm like, yeah, then it'll be this. And it's like, how do you know that? I'm like, yeah, I'm too much of a nerd about this, but I'm like, oh, I absolutely know Atomic's next. And it goes, dun-dun-dun-dun. I'm like, yeah, it's just, they're listening to the Trainspotting soundtrack.
He does.
My dad loves Blondie, by the way, like, really, because that's like, it's great music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't watched that many Danny Boyle movies, but he does that well because he also did Slumdog Millionaire.
Which
Joe.
Yeah.
Do the
Bella, Bella.
not the Pussycat Doll version.
No.
The other version, which is great.
The actual like
the actual the
Punjabi version. Oh no, that soundtrack's really good as well. Like I remember just immediately buying it after the.
I can't wait for the episode we do Slumdog Millionaire so that I can talk about the Tamil song that I'm really into.
That's a very good song.
Kolavari D.
It's totally not where Slumdog Millionaire is from.
Oh no.
But I mean Asian, I guess.
Well, like the whole like bubble of like Bollywood styled.
Bollywood.
Yeah.
There's Bollywood, Lollywood, which is Pakistan.
Really?
And I don't know what Sri Lankan cinema is.
Huh. That'd be nice. We should have your dad for that as well.
Oh yeah. My dad's a Pakistani documentary director, but he also writes his own scripts. He helps people with theirs. He edits, so he's kind of dabbles with everything.
He has stress and interest of coming on, so we're going to have him on at some point, which will be exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hopefully, fingers crossed, in-house.
Yeah.
if your dad comes to visit good old sunny Scotland.
Of course, yeah. I think he should.
We'd absolutely make sure that on one day we get these episodes done.
Well, I'm hoping to get him to come see my play in March, so hopefully we can do it around then.
Good segue that. Thank you to anyone that donated. By the time this episode goes out, the crowdfunding will have probably closed, but you can still buy tickets.
There's
well,
4 more days left to crowdfund, so if anyone is feeling...
when this one is released, there won't be. But as Adam said in the previous episode, probably they will certainly leave the page open.
Most likely, it'll stay open. There'll be some way to help out. Even if it's just a case of anyone that's in Scotland, come and see, or in Glasgow. And if you listen to the show, we're like, me and Yann will be there for sure. So we're very happy to like hang out with any listener that's wants to come.
Cool.
Be very cool. Very cool.
And also amazing that Stuff Puffin Productions gave us a shout out and shared our podcast and thanked us and stuff. So that was really amazing of them.
I don't know if your director remembers me. That'd be quite funny.
I don't know. I'll ask her.
Yeah, I did a summer school with her like years ago. I think I was like 16. If she asks what I did, if she remembers it barely, I did Biff from Death of a Salesman. She might remember that.
I'll ask her.
But we'll see. Mm-hmm. But yeah, cool. Very nice person. I enjoyed working. I remember having good times with all of them on that course.
Yeah, really cool.
Years and years ago though.
Yeah. Really excited to start rehearsals.
Soundtrack covered. Do we have anything else to add? Provided that we're going to do the second one very soon.
This is very true.
Very soon.
If you haven't seen this movie, see it. There is no doubt in my mind that anyone can hate this movie.
Right.
And if you're feeling brave enough, have a go at the book. If you're not feeling brave enough, sample the first 5 minutes on Audible of the audiobook. And if that's too tough, I mean, it is hard. I will be honest, because there's a very interesting fact that Irvine Welsh did try and write Trainspotting, the book, in standard English, and it just didn't work.
Of course not, because it's a completely different culture and different way of expressing yourself.
It has a very... he wanted to pay homage to the whole Gaelic poem sort of style of telling stories, and that's very true in the book, because there's like so many different perspectives. I will say as well, the book... have an open mind with the book, because it isn't the film. The book doesn't just focus on the 4 boys. There's multiple of other friends in their groups, and there are complete different sections with characters you'll never see again. That there's particularly a section in the book where it talks about a guy that's got an HIV group, where one of the guys is just about to die, and another guy is taking revenge on him for being like an asshole. And it's just like so interesting. Like it's not afraid to go to any place. And I think that's what makes it a really nice read, because it's not solely focused on the story. It allows itself to be what it is. Like a podcast. It just goes where it wants to go.
It's a lot more graphic as well. So like be open-minded about that. Like the way that Irvine Welsh describes even taking heroin, like the needle, is just so graphic, and you can almost feel it, like, which is amazing, but also not for the squeamish at all. Also, I would say if you're not Scottish, maybe try with the audiobook first, because actually listening to it, even if you don't understand it, is actually really nice, and you can hear either the aggression or the love or whatever they're feeling. If you're reading it, it's a lot harder to know what they're saying, because obviously you have no connection with Scots. So I would say Audible first.
Is that dramatized or just one single reader doing the audiobook?
It's just there are 2 versions on Audible. There is obviously the 12-hour one, the actual book by Irvine Welsh, and then there's obviously like the play version, which will be different characters.
So it's up to
we
you.
gave him a shout. We did say the name, but I butchered it in the first go in Filth. I think this episode comes out before Filth anyway. Tam Dean Byrne is the reader for the book, and it's phenomenal. It's excellent, because he does such a good job that if you aren't Scottish, you can work out by the way by the tone and the acting and the wholeness of his voice, you understand what he's talking about, which that's a real credit to anybody that reads as a a voice actor. So
Yeah, you don't have to stress out if you don't understand it.
Major props to you. Well done.
Rating?
All right, so Anouk, Yann, is Trainspotting good, bad, or just plain standard? Anouk?
This is legendary, I think.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Welcome to the legendary category.
Yeah. We have to thank Yann for that one.
Yeah.
Because it shows a world that maybe not many people know. Kind of working class, completely disillusional, disenfranchised Scotland. Especially because Edinburgh is known to be, the financial sector, all this money, the gentrified, and then you've got these kids that obviously they're not getting the help they need, and this is in every city, even in London, you have these kids, and it's so important, especially now that we're talking about socially economic issues.
Well, it's like
this was done in 1996. So on that front, it's like good because you're learning about something that isn't talked about, like drug addiction and how it completely consumes your life. 5 minutes after she loses her child, she asks for a hit. That's something that a lot of people won't be able to relate to. Yeah, it takes 10 seconds of her screaming, and then she's asking for him for a hit. That's insane.
Sorry, I completely forgot. I wanted to talk about the coming off drug scene in the bedroom, which is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's basically hallucinations, chills, sweating, complete freak out.
Yeah, it's just so well done.
Raw.
So well done.
Raw, I would say. Really raw.
It's like I almost see that as like if Danny Boyle ever needed a showreel for directorial purposes, that's what you show.
Yeah.
You just show that bit, which is just amazing.
And so on that front, it's interesting and educational. Acting is amazing. Sound, the soundtrack is legendary. So because it kind of deals with everything, it's a good film and also it's educational. I feel like even now in 2018, it's amazing.
To give you context for how you said about people living in a city, like obviously the capital city of Scotland, it's like London. The guy, they're from Leith, which is the equivalent of like Southend. It's like comparing Kensington to either Whitechapel or like Southwark, Lambeth sort of thing.
Right.
I don't know if those are accurate. I'm thinking because I played Assassin's Creed, I'm like, where are the rundown areas in Syndicate? But do you know what I mean? It's the comparison.
Yeah, you've got really, really South London.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Comparing to the centre where all the elites are, Chelsea via somewhere else.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
So that's the same thing, but in Edinburgh. So they're from Leith, they're the other society. They're the other
Tottenham.
Yeah, the other borough sort of thing. Yeah. Yann?
Well, I would say it's good. Every time the baby bit is a bit gut turning, but with a critical eye and watching everything, it's good. It's good. The thing is that with the in your face, if you take movies at face value and just like video games, would you try and go and kill someone to get the legendary sword afterwards, or would you do drugs like crazy after watching this movie? I'm wondering. That kind of a catharsis or whatever.
If you think about it, right, there's a point that we never mentioned in trivia that Oasis turned down being on the soundtrack because they didn't want to be in a movie about train spotters, right? Bear in mind, this is 96, so you'd get something off of Definitely Maybe, or if it was out in time, you might get something from What's the Story, Morning Glory, which is the biggest selling album of the 90s, right? So, and if you think about Oasis, right, there's the famous interview from Oasis in the 90s when Noel is in the bathroom after an award ceremony saying, everyone does drugs. You do drugs, you do drugs, you do drugs. You don't because you're a Buddhist, but everyone does drugs. It's like having a cup of tea in the morning, right? So I think at the time, people would definitely be like, oh, this is just going to emphasize people taking drugs. But I do think that to have a film that accurately portrays what drug taking is about and its effects, positive and negative, can't be an endorsement for drugs either positively or negatively. It is simply a reflection of the time.
And there's a good ending also. It's just like,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, not for everyone because Tommy's dead.
The protagonist, let's say.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe that's why T2 is so amazing, because you realize that actually it doesn't really go well for Mark Renton.
Yeah.
So that's interesting as well. Like, and also that's something like you wean yourself off drugs, but then you're bored of life because you're like accustomed to a high. So when you're like just doing normal life, it's like, oh, well, I can do something better than this. Like this is like, is this what reality feels like? It's shit.
And for my rating, it is also legendary. This is possibly the best film about Scotland in Scotland that has ever been made. Because it is, like I said, it is a reflective piece. And it puts, and for some people, Trainspotting is the first time they hear about Scotland, really. It's like, if you think of Scotland, oh yeah, Trainspotting, because it's international. And it's the same with the book. The book is phenomenal. I mean, because I watched the film, I picked up and read Trainspotting, which, funnily enough, I read the prequel Skag Boys, which one day we will talk about the book once Yann and Anouk can get through the Scottishness of it, which I'm hoping is soon, because Yann did all right with that brief reading, so we might be able to. Also, you've got the French version, which was on the table last time, which I've never seen before. It was Skag Boys, Trainspotting, and T2, or Porno as the book's called, in French. I don't think that in English there's a compilation of all three books.
No.
If there is, I'd love to get my hands on it.
There is no compilation, but I'll have to read, because I guess that they haven't done the work of the vernacular in Brave. They haven't done that in Highlander. In Braveheart. So I'm curious to see, because but I've started to read the French version. It's pretty, I think they kept the idea, the essence of I think.
Like I said, probably in a previous podcast, I think it would have been Alien. This is an amalgamation of when every department comes together. In Alien, I talked about how set design, sound, camera work, story, acting, everything came together. The same is true in Trainspotting. Without the work of everyone involved, this film isn't as good as it is. Without the visual direction of Danny Boyle and the cinematic crew, without the screenplay by John Hodge, without Irvine Welsh's willingness to have this be different to what he wrote, and to be different from what the stage play is amazingly brave too. It's just when everything comes together, it shows you that if you focus too hard on one aspect, like, you can have the best story in the world, but if you don't have the same effort, input, creativeness to every department, your film will always be missing just one thing. It won't just be perfect. And because this film cares about every aspect, it's a masterpiece of cinema.
Yep.
And it's legendary for me.
Awesome. Let's just jump into it. What's your favorite word today?
Favorite word today? Well, because of Trainspotting, it's probably Scotland right now.
My favorite word. God, I didn't think about this again.
I guess that's the point.
I don't know.
Think of a word. Any word.
Chicken.
Fair enough.
Cool.
It's always about food with me, isn't it?
You hungry, babe?
Yeah, I'm starving.
Mine is nutmeg.
Ooh.
Well, that's a good one.
I have no idea what it really means, but I love it must be a nut of some kind, but I love the sound of least favorite word.
Heroin.
Estate agent.
What?
Just because when there's a scene of us where they go to London, and I'm like, I hate. We had a bad experience with an old estate agent. I'm like, estate agents.
Yeah, can be awful.
Skunk.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. Today, yeah. Favorite noise? Or sound?
Or sound. Cat meowing. Happy meowing.
Oh, meow. Guitar.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, a piano being played.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Least favorite noise or sound?
Upstairs banging when we're trying to record a podcast. As in the sense of like, not like the other like,
Oh,
stick
yeah.
the video on, Tommy, stick it on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like the physical knocking.
I don't.
I can do your least favorite noise if you want.
Oh really? Oh, I hate that. I hate that noise.
Okay.
I don't know what it's called, but that thing that Adam and Pasha do all the time.
Yeah.
I hate it.
There is, well, in one of the Black Mirror episodes, I don't know, the latest season, there is a guy who does a
Oh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
but no, mine is a boiler.
Oh.
Ah.
Yeah, it's kind of a blessing that I'll be moving out soon and moving in here.
Yeah.
Somewhere that doesn't have a boiler, because we have a boiler in our room.
The boiler's in our room, but I'm used to with it on sleeping now. So
Well, the first 6 months, I actually had my noise cancelling headphones on
Oh, wow.
at all times. It was just like, it was just insane.
crazy, man.
Oh dear.
There we go then.
Yeah, it was the Trainspotting episode.
I'm excited to watch T2 and do that, record that immediately soon after this episode because I think that will add more to it, which I'm very excited to do.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So then,
Okay.
guess we better say goodbye for
Yeah.
now.
We were
Adam.
Anouk.
and Yann. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye everywhere. Bye.
Oh yeah, bye.
Multiple cameras.